Ladies and gents, welcome back. It's the Coffee N KOs crew, and we are here for another end of the year superlative, whatever you want to call it. We've been doing this for the last couple shows. Quick little episodes, tell you, give our quick superlatives of the year, and just me and Steve on this one. So this one we are covering our potential breakout star for 2021, and this one, kind of like most of these superlatives, this was another difficult one, Steve.
Yeah, I was kind of going through and I was looking for people who are kind of like on the fringe of the top 15 or maybe even like a little bit outside the top 15. People who really have a solid chance of picking up like, 2 or 3 wins over the course of 2021. And then at the end of 2021, we're potentially talking about them as like a top 5, top 7 guy who could be a legit contender. So the UFC is pretty stacked right now. There's a lot of great young talent in there. There's so many good names that I wanted to choose, and it was really hard to narrow it down to. I have my like main guy, and then I have my honorable mention. But honestly, there was just so many to choose from.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a difficult time with this one, but at the end of the day, this guy, he's fought a boatload of times this year. I don't know. So he fought this past week. I don't know that I would have chosen him I don't know. He's got a lot of hype behind his name right now, and no, it's not Khamzat Chimaev. He's just fought a boatload of times, and it seems like every time he gets out, he gets more and more impressive. He's so well rounded, and he does things, so well. He's so smooth and very good on the ground too, which I don't think people realize. And my potential breakout star of 2021 is going to be Kevin Holland. So if you listen to the previous show, I had him as an honorable mention, but my breakout star of 2020 was Davison Figueiredo. I didn't think Kevin Holland was there yet, just based on the people he's fought. Aside from Jacare Souza, he really hasn't fought anyone big. I mean, he did piece up Joaquin Buckley pretty good, but I didn't think that the names were really there yet, but obviously in 2021, that's going to happen. I mean, obviously 2021, he's going to be fighting guys in the top 15, top 10, and I really think Kevin Holland has a shot to kind of skyrocket up that division and potentially fight for a belt in 2021. Now, the only problem with that is Izzy is going to be standing in his way. I don't think Kevin Holland can beat Izzy because, I mean, we've said it many times, Izzy is a guy that we think could be a potential GOAT. Like, he's on his way to be a GOAT of the UFC. And so I don't think that Kevin Holland is there to beat him yet, but I think Kevin Holland's a guy that we might see in 2021 be a number one contender. There's so many great fights for him lined up, I think, in that division that I think that he has potential to really make a fast track in 2021. I would not be surprised if we see him fight 2 or 3 times I'll say like 2 times by like March, April, and really kind of assert himself into one of the top contenders. The only thing that sucks about that, once he starts getting in the top 10, you're not going to see him fight as much. I think we can all agree we want to see Kevin Holland fight as much as possible because he is exciting. The knockout of Souza was insane, something that you don't see often, standing up, getting a knockout. He's very unique, and he's smart. Like, how many fighters would you see getting up from a standing position and throw punches like that? Like, it doesn't happen. He's very, very smart. He knows what he's doing, and I really think that he has potential to be the number one contender and fight for the belt this upcoming year. So I had him as my potential breakout star. Many people could say he was already a breakout star, but I think once you add the names to it, it'll really make him a star. And I think he just has an overall great skill set, and you got to add the mic skills. He's got great mic skills as well. And my honorable mention, so I only did one. My honorable mention was Miranda Maverick. She, to me, I think, one, with the women's divisions being where they're at, I think they're in need of more stars. And I really think Miranda Maverick is I think she's the total package. I think that she's really good. She's obviously a wrestling-based fighter, but she's shown that she can strike. That's something she's really been working on. She's very, very strong. And they've already talked about her fighting Caitlin Chukagian already after one fight in the UFC. I think that she really has potential to kind of skyrocket just based on the competition in the division that she's in. And I really like Miranda Maverick too. So Kevin Holland is my potential breakout star of 2021, but Miranda Maverick is my honorable mention breakout star of 2021.
I think, yeah, it's like Kevin Holland, did basically everything he needed to do in 2020 to like get him in the right track. And he's not a superstar just yet, or even like necessarily a star just yet, but he is like so close to it. And now the fact that he's number 10, it's like, he's definitely got some wins in front of him that he can get. You talk about like Uriah Hall, Gastelum, Brunson, like those guys he could definitely beat. And then once he starts getting into the top 5, that's where it's going to get very, very tricky. But certainly, he gets 1 or 2 wins in 2021, and he's going to be the number 1 contender. So love that pick. Miranda Maverick, obviously, she just had her UFC debut, and it was an awesome round 1 TKO. And, I remember John Anik was saying, like, she is, maybe the best, like, top 3, top 5 in her division already, and I don't even think she's ranked yet. It's just from, like, a strict, like, skill standpoint. Like, she has all the tools. She's ready to go. She's super young. Like, she's going to make some moves, 100%. So for me, I kind of went a little bit different. You might not really know Tom Aspinall, but you're definitely going to know him in 2021 because he's my potential breakout star. And this guy, just like I did a little bit of research on him. His dad owns a BJJ gym, so he kind of grew up doing that. Then he moved into boxing. He did Thai boxing, did a little bit of wrestling, went back to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Then he transitioned over to pro boxing, and that's where he actually met and was invited to train with Tyson Fury. So he trains with Tyson Fury, like spars with him on a pro level, but also now he trains alongside Darren Till. And he just got his black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And every fight that we've seen him in, he's on a 5-fight win streak right now, hasn't lost in like 4 years. And even then, his last loss was a DQ loss. This dude's 6'6". He has a ton of power. He is just super well-rounded. And we just seen, like, if you have all of those different types of skill sets in the heavyweight division, shout out Cyril Gahn, someone who's a very good example of that. You get 1, 2, maybe 3 wins in that division, you're going to move up quick. And if you have that wrestling background and the submission background, you're going to blow through a lot of people. So I really like Tom Aspinall. We haven't seen him fight too much, but I think 2021, he's going to string together a nice little streak here, and we'll see him crack the top 10 in 2021. And then, honorable mention, kind of similar guy, he's younger, Jimmy Croot. So he fights in the light heavyweight division, and to me, that's probably one of the weaker divisions in there right now. I know we have a few good guys in there, but again, like, the guy has an extremely good wrestling background. He has a ton of power, which we saw in his last fight. Absolutely destroyed the guy. I forget who he was fighting. But he just has, like, that skill set where if you can strike and you can wrestle, you're in the light heavyweight division, like, you're going to make moves. So those two guys, relatively young, relatively new to the UFC. But both of them, I think, just given the division they're in and the skill set that they have, like, these guys are going somewhere, without a doubt.
Yeah, I love both of those picks. I think you said it perfectly. Tom Aspinall and Jimmy Croot, those two guys have something that a lot of people in those divisions don't have, and that's the wrestling background. Like, how many heavyweights aside from Curtis Blades wrestle? None. I mean, they could. Alistair Overeem can handle himself on the ground, but for the most part, those guys aren't typically wrestlers. They're stand and bang guys. And Jimmy Croot, we saw Jimmy Croot develop. He got a crazy knockout his last fight. Okay, so he's obviously developed the striking, and then he's got the wrestling. That makes him ridiculously dangerous. I think for him, the biggest thing, and we were saying it before the show, I think that he's more of like a 2022. I think we're gonna really know either the end of 2021 or the beginning of 2022 is where Jimmy Croot's name is really gonna get put on the map. But I think that Aspinall is the same thing. I think that he has potential to rise a little bit more quickly. I think that the heavyweight division is a little bit more watered down than what the other divisions are. And I like Aspinall. I think that he can give a lot of guys really probably already in the top 5 fits. I think he's really strong, and he's got the wrestling with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background. He's looked great in his fights so far in the UFC, which he didn't even give himself credit after his last win. He thought he fought terribly, which I thought he did well. But I love those picks. I think Tom Aspinall is a great name, and I think he really is a potential star of 2021. I think that we could see him fight for the belt. The only thing that sucks is like with Stipe being the champ is just not as active. You know, you're going to get one title defense a year with Stipe, and that's it. And so it'll also be interesting to see what happens with John Jones, because, everyone, Dana comes back and says that, John Jones is ready to come back, and that's at heavyweight. He's been training heavyweight, but, they're saying that the Izzy John Jones fight is the fight to make. So no one knows what's going on with that, but I think Tom Aspinall is definitely a great pick. I think that he has potential to just kind of take off in that division.
Yeah, and two other names I had, also in the heavyweight division, and we saw him fight pretty recently, but it was Alexander Romanov, who's just another wrestling style big guy, has a lot of power, so he could make some moves in heavyweight. And then I was also mentioning in our other show with David Van Auken, Kyler Phillips, the Matrix, fights in the bantamweight division. I don't think a lot of people really know about him, but he's got pretty good size. He's like 5'7", 5'8" in that division, but he's got a bunch of viral knockouts. The guy looks legit.
Yeah, and I mean, also, there's so many names that we can name that it's just crazy, but Jiri Chaska, I mean, yep. He's a guy that kind of had a crazy knockout, looked insane, and then he didn't fight again for the year. So there's so many guys that have like the ability to really be a breakout star. It's just kind of like, when is it going to happen? And I think that Kevin Holland's approach was so great because people saw him so many times. Like if you're a UFC fan and you watch every weekend, you know who Kevin Holland is because you saw him fight 5 times in 1 year, and I think that if you want to put your name on the map and kind of become a star, you have to put yourself in front of the camera where people are going to see you. And I think that the way that he did it is great. Now, granted, not everyone can fight 5 times a year, but if you're fighting once a year and you're kind of on the cusp of being a star, you need to fight more than that, at least 2-3 times. And Jiri Prochazka, I think that he has super potential. I think that he's very exciting in the cage. It's kind of like Michel Pereira, where they're very flashy, they do different things. But when you see someone fight only once a year and we haven't seen them since July, it's very easy to forget who they are or forget that they're there until they fight again. Then you're like, oh, there's that crazy guy that fought, in July. Last time I saw him, he did some crazy stuff. So I think that Kevin Holland's approach has been great. And, not everyone's going to be great on the mic, but you can still be marketable. Stipe is not by no means, flashy on the mic. You can barely understand what he says half the time because he talks so fast, but it's Stipe. He's performed enough. He's the champ. And I kind of feel that way about like Aspinall. Doesn't seem like a guy that's gonna get the fans by being on the microphone, but he has the potential to come out and he's just dismantling people. They're gonna be like, holy crap! Look at this heavyweight that can just throw other heavyweights all around the octagon like it's no one's business. So, I think that 2021 has potential to have a lot of names that maybe we didn't even mention come out of the woodworks.
Yeah, no, I think, any way you look at it, like 2020 was awesome, produced a ton of great stars. 2021, we can already see that in the woodwork. And then, hey, you never know, with like the Dana White Contender Series going on, the Ultimate Fighter's coming back pretty soon. So like we might get some guys we've never heard of, halfway through the year, and then they get a few, maybe 2 knockouts, and then obviously they're going to be a breakout star. So I'm excited for 2021. Very much looking forward to it.
Me too. All right, everyone, that is your potential breakout stars of 2021 by yours truly, the Coffee N KOs podcast. We really appreciate all of you listening. Make sure you go hit the subscribe button on YouTube, give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, leave us a comment, follow us on Twitter, Instagram at Coffee N KOs1. We really appreciate the love and support, and we will see you guys next time.